All right. Hello and welcome to Cooking Five Ways series. My name is Piali Callahan. I'm an instructor and research specialist at Miller Branch. And today in this, we are with our wonderful SNAP Ed educator, Razan Sahuri, who takes us virtually to her kitchen to show us some recipes with the featured ingredient for that particular class. And today's featured ingredient is canned fruit. Before the presentation by Razan, we just wanted to say a few words about her. Razan Sahuri works at the University of Maryland Extension. She is Howard County's Maryland SNAP Ed nutrition educator. Razan holds a bachelor's degree in nutrition and dietetics and a master's degree in public health. Through her work with the UME, Razan partners with Howard County Public School System, Head Start Centers, and the Howard County Food Bank to deliver nutrition education to students, parents, and teachers. These collaborations also involve leveraging resources between Maryland SNAP Ed and local community agencies to facilitate greater access to and availability of healthy food options and influence the adoption of policy, systems, and physical environment changes related to a healthier lifestyle. And before I just give it over to Razan, I just wanted to say that real-time captions are available for this class. Please click the CC button on your Zoom window to toggle them on or off. And we just wanted to let you know that the captions are automatically generated by Zoom and may contain errors. And so without much further ado, Razan, the class is yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here. And today we're talking about canned fruit. I know right now fruits are in season, so that might not be the most suitable time to talk about it, but listen to it, save it for later when maybe fruits are not as abundant. So today we're going to quickly talk about the health benefits of canned fruits or fruits in general. We're going to talk about the different types of canned fruit that you might find at the grocery store, 5 different ways to use canned fruit, and then I'm going to show you 3 super quick food demonstrations using canned fruits. Of course, questions and answers are always welcome. If you have any questions, please feel free either to put them in the chat or wait until the end of the session, your call. So when we talk about fruits in general, as you know, fruits are a great source of vitamins, of minerals and fiber. They're very important for our bodies, for our well-being. And the same thing, whether the fruit is frozen or canned or fresh, you're going to receive all of these benefits. Sometimes the benefits they might change. So for example, canned fruit, if some of the water soluble vitamins like vitamin C, vitamin B, it might be reduced a little bit, but some antioxidants, like for example, lycopene that's found in tomatoes, it might increase when you can it. So it's just something to keep in mind, but it's also a great source of vitamins, minerals, and fibers. So when we go to the grocery store, just like with everything else, there's a lot of options. I wish it's much easier where we can go to the grocery store and we have only 2 options to choose from. I feel like, if you're unfamiliar with one thing, you might spend 15 minutes just looking and reading and comparing brands to make sure, you take what you feel is best for you and your family. So when it comes to canned fruits, there's a couple of things that you should keep in mind. First of all, the medium that the fruit is canned in, so the liquid that the fruit is in. Usually, what you see at the grocery store, it can be juice. You can see 100% juice. It can be the same kind of fruit. So let's say peaches are canned in 100% peach juice, or it can be, for example, let's say pineapples, but they are in 100% orange juice. So it can be another fruit. So that's one thing to keep in mind because it might alter the flavor. And then there are some syrups. They can be light or heavy syrups, and syrups, as you know, are pure sugar. The lighter one is definitely, lighter in its sugar content, but still. And then we have some that say no sugar added, canned in water, or canned in water, and then you look, you might find some artificial sweeteners available added to it. And usually that happens when they still want that product to be sweeter, but they don't want to add as much sugar. So they add artificial sweeteners. And usually, people that want something that's sweet, but let's say they might be diabetic or they're watching their sugar content, they might do that. So when you are in a grocery store and you're trying to choose, always try and choose, if it's canned in water, just pure water, which I haven't seen, although I know you can can in water. That's the best option. If not, then do the canned in juice, the 100% juice. And then make sure you flip the can, read the label, make sure there's no added sugar. That's what we're trying to watch here. It's the amount of added sugar. And then if you are stuck between a light syrup and a heavy syrup, of course, do the light syrup. But of course, if you can choose the juice versus the syrup, always choose the juice. So that's the first way to distinguish the different types of canned fruit. The other is basically the size of the fruit. You might find, a whole fruit, or it can be cut or crushed or diced. And that might help you when you're planning, let's say, a recipe, and you might want, let's say, cut or crushed, let's say, pineapple. So you wouldn't buy the rings. So that's one thing also to look for. From a nutrition point of view, it does not matter. It's just a preference of what are you using that for. And if you're just buying it because, let's say, it's on sale and you want to keep it in your pantry, and you'll figure it out later, maybe it's worth buying the, let's say, the round pineapples and then cutting them if you need them in a recipe. So just something to think about. Now we're going to walk through the 5 different ways that you can prepare or use canned fruit. And when you think about canned fruit, think of fresh fruit and think of how you use fresh fruit in a lot of your daily, dishes. And that's where you can substitute. So especially around winter when fruits are not in season, that might be a great alternative. I know right now, as I mentioned before, it's fruit galore everywhere we go, which is great. But then let's say you're either in a hurry where you want something that's already, let's say, prepped or chopped already, that's a good alternative. Or if there's nothing close by or there's nothing in season, so you can always, have that idea of getting your canned fruit. So you can add it to your smoothies, just like with fresh or frozen. So you can just, put it with your liquid, with your greens, and then you have a smoothie. You can also add it to your parfait, where you have your granola, and you can make your granola at home, or even cereal, yogurt, and then you can have your fruit. You can also, let's say, if you enjoy pancakes or waffles occasionally, you can have that in the batter. You can add it to your oats. So the only thing really that's different is kind of the texture of the fruit. As raw fruit or fresh fruit, it's more crunchy, and usually when you can it, it might alter the flavor a little bit and it might alter the texture. So that's something just to keep in mind when you're prepping your dishes. The second way that you can use them is in baking. So just like, again, where you use your dried or fresh or frozen fruit, you can just dump that can, like you can make cobblers in it, and you're going home today with a peach cobbler recipe, and then you can use it in your baking. You're also going home with a peach muffin recipe that's also on the healthier side, and it works not it works as a snack, it works as dessert, it might work as breakfast if you have it with yogurt. So something to think about. And then you can use your fruits in salads, just like, again, your fresh fruit, but just keep in mind that the flavor might not 100% be the same. So today I'm going to show you how to make a spinach salad that is super easy with some fruit. And then you can add it to your coleslaw. You're going to receive this coleslaw recipe. And what's great about this recipe is you can have it as a side, or you can add it to, let's say, make fish tacos or chicken tacos and have it as a topping, and that works. Something fresh. It's suitable for this time of year. I feel like fruit adds that freshness to dishes, and if you're looking for something light or fresh, especially in the summer, it can be ideal. You can also use it in your main dishes. So in main dishes, so in when you make stir fry, you can use the juice. So if it's 100% juice, you can use that juice, a little bit of the juice with your soy sauce to give it a little bit of sweetness, and then you can use the fruit itself in the stir fry. If you enjoy a sweeter stir fry, you can also use it in your sandwiches, in your wraps. And today I'm going to show you a wrap recipe that is also super easy. It works as a main, as a snack, as lunch. It's very versatile, and it has canned fruit. And then finally, dessert. So you can either have something as simple as a fruit salad where you can have mix fresh and canned. So let's say it's winter time and you have fresh oranges, but you don't, and you have apples, let's say, but you don't have something else. So you might add peaches to it, you might add pineapples to it. So you can mix both fresh and canned. Or as you see the kebabs, the fruit kebabs, this is a great activity for children to help. So if you have little ones at home, it can be a family activity. It's great for their motor skills, especially the younger ones, where they can put it in either a skewer. If you feel a skewer is too pointy or dangerous for their age, you can use a straw or anything just to kind of put one at a time. And you can either use all canned or you can mix whatever you have at home. And that's also something that's great about having canned fruit. It's like you have fruit in your pantry. Even if you don't have fresh at that point, you might be able to substitute. And we're going to make a pineapple orange frozen yogurt dessert. So it works as kind of a smoothie, kind of a dessert. So that's also something interesting. And all of these recipes, if you prefer a different fruit, you can absolutely change the fruit, that we're using to your preference. With that said, let's start with the food demos. I'm going to stop sharing. And do we have any questions? Because I see some numbers in the chat, some action going on in the chat.
Yes. So there's a question which asks you, is it safe to keep canned food in the garage during the summer?
So that's a great question. When it comes to canned goods, you don't want them to get exposed to high heat. So if your garage, if you know that it's too hot in the garage, it's better to keep it inside the house where it's temperature controlled, because usually our garages are not temperature controlled. And if you really need to put it in the garage, try at least to put it closer to your house versus the outside of the house. And just take a pulse, check if it gets warm, then no, it's not safe to keep it. So usually you need to keep it around room temperature, not a lot higher. So the first recipe, I'm going to do the pineapple orange frozen yogurt. And I'm going to do this at first because it requires frozen pineapples. And I froze the pineapples earlier. So for this recipe, you can get a blender. Sorry, I'm trying to, yeah, you see the blender. Or a blender, I'll do it this way. You can get a blender or a food processor. You might also be able to do it by hand, but then you need to chop or dice or mince your pineapples. Let me move this a little bit as well. Okay, so for this recipe, for 3 servings, you need a cup of vanilla yogurt that is low fat, and I'm going to put it right in my blender. What's nice about this is, so it's 1 cup vanilla, or so it's one yogurt, whatever it is, and then half of it is orange juice. So let's say you want to double it, you just put 1 cup of orange juice, and then 2 cups of vanilla yogurt, and then half a cup of frozen. Oh, let me note this. Frozen pineapples, and those are canned frozen pineapples. So what I did was I opened them, and half an hour ago I just put them in the freezer. And what you can do with this recipe is you can either blend it and you're done, or you can blend it and then put it back in the freezer for another hour at least, so you can get a more frozen consistency. And this is nice for kids. They can help you with it. So I'm just gonna, move to let me mute for a minute. I'm going to get that blender going and then I'll unmute. Okay. So let me show you. So you can just, as you see the consistency, it's a little bit on the thicker side. So it can be like a thick smoothie. If you like it a little bit lighter, you can add more liquid to it. Or you can put it in popsicles, molds, if you have those, and put it in the freezer. So this is the first dessert slash snack that we did. So this is the pineapple orange frozen yogurt, and you're receiving the recipe. The second recipe, so both of the recipes that I'm going to show you have very similar ingredients. So, you can have the same, how you can buy same ingredients and use them in several recipes. That's one of them. So the first is the, let me open that. It's the spinach salad. So you need half a pound of fresh spinach leaves. So what I did was I halved this recipe so I don't end up with a huge bowl of salad because I have a lot of leftover. So I just halved it. But when you make it at home, you can just add the half a pound of spinach leaves washed. And if you don't have spinach, you can get mixed greens, whatever greens you have for your salad, you can use that. And then you need 1 can of mandarin oranges that are drained. So I'm just going to, I already opened the can, I drained them. And I remember I'm just gonna use some. And if you like, you can, if you're serving it in front of people, you can, put them in a nice way. But I love the colors of orange. On the screen, they don't look as vibrant, but with the orange and green, it really looks good. And then the recipe asks for half a cup of dried cranberries. So that's a 1/4 cup for me. And then if you like to add nuts to it, you can totally do that. You can add almonds, walnuts, anything works. And if you like to add cheese, that works great with it, especially if you like blue cheese. And then you're just going to add, I'm not sure it's gonna work, dressing. Oh, it worked, okay. To taste. So, this is a balsamic dressing, but you can add anything you like that is on the lighter side. And when it doesn't, when you're not sure what to use, you can always add lemon with oil, a little bit of vinegar, lemon oil, and you'll be done. So this is the salad. And today I'm messy, excuse me. So this is a very fresh salad, and you can, add things to it to make it heavier, like protein or more like a lunch, something that's more filling, or you can have it like this as a side. Any questions so far? Nope? Okay. So for our third recipe, today it's a very, everything is super easy. It's wraps. The recipe that you're receiving, it makes 4 wraps. So I just divided everything by 4 so we can only make 1 wrap. So you'll get the wrap of your choice. This is a whole grain. And of course, we're trying to add more fiber to our diet. So whole grain is a great option to have. You're going to use spinach, and that's why I was telling you it's the same ingredients. So whatever greens you have to make your salad, you can make your sandwich with or your wrap. And then you need cranberries, same thing. So you're going to have cranberries. Again, you can use any dried fruit that you have. I feel like this is a lot of dried fruit. I followed the recipe, but I feel it's a lot. And then low fat mozzarella cheese, and you can use again any cheese you like. Doesn't have to be. But I feel like, usually we have grated cheese at home that we use for different recipes. So it can be an easy um, recipe. And then this is the 2 tablespoons. I should add more dry mandarin oranges to the salad. I'm going to add the rest. I thought it was little, so I'm just gonna add these here. So that's another thing. You know how a lot of times you open the can and you use part of it. So this is a good way to do it, where you can use part for, let's say, the salad, part for the sandwich, although flavor-wise, it's going to be very similar. And then I'm using 1 tablespoon of dressing just to give it some moisture, but you can also, so the recipe asks for Italian dressing, but you can use anything you like. So I'm just gonna put that. I'm wondering if something spicy would work, like sriracha. And then I'm going to wrap it. And that works with the coleslaw too. The recipe that you're going to receive, you can put it, in a wrap, add the protein. And the recipe also, this recipe, you can add canned chicken to it, or if you have leftover chicken, you can add to it. I kept it vegetarian with the cheese, but you can totally add the chicken to it. So you have the wraps, the salad, and I would definitely add some nuts to the salad, because I feel it's very sweet with the cranberries and the mandarin alone, or maybe some cheese, maybe some blue cheese would be good. And then the frozen yogurt. And as you can see, the more you let it out, the thinner it becomes, because the ice starts melting. But you can put it in the freezer for a more frozen consistency. And here you have it. Let me stop this. Okay, any questions? Comments, concerns?
There are no questions so far, except Nancy had a question. Nancy, want to read it out?
Yeah, I was wondering, I'd never thought about freezing canned fruit before. So is there any canned fruit that you would recommend not freezing? That just seemed counterintuitive to me.
So you're not going to freeze it in the can. You're going to open it and just freeze that amount you need. So it's a good idea, because what happens is a lot of times you open a can of fruit and use, let's say, half of it for a recipe, and then you don't know what to do with the rest. You can freeze the rest. So it doesn't have to be for a frozen recipe like the one we did today, but it can be, just for, that you can use it later. And you can freeze any fruit, and all the canned fruits, they work. It's whatever you like flavor wise, you can freeze, absolutely. This is our fastest lesson. We finished it super fast. We still have 4 more minutes to spare. So if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. Yes, of course. So you can definitely make your own dressing. I make my own dressing. So if you enjoy making your own dressing, by all means. If you feel that, it's something extra that you don't have the time for, you can also buy your low-fat dressing and enjoy that. And the nice thing about these recipes, they are very versatile and interchangeable. So yes, for example, the recipe asks for low-fat vinaigrette, but if you enjoy, let's say, something else like a low-fat ranch, you can do that by all means. You can add any dressing you like to your salad. And as you know, the dressing changes the flavor. So if you have a vision of what you'd like it to taste like, you might also pair that with, let's say, the fruit or the protein. You feel like certain dressings work for certain fruit or cheese more than others. What I do is I make a big batch of my dressing, and it's oil, vinegar, dried herbs, Sometimes I put some garlic in it, not all the time, and I just shake it, put it in the fridge. Usually I use it for that week, sometimes 2 weeks, depending on how much, I make and how much we use it. And then, but it's not sweet. I personally do not enjoy the sweet taste of dressing. But if you like sweeter, dressings, you can definitely add, let's say, honey to it. You can have more oil than, let's say, vinegar or acid, whatever it is, lemon. So you can make your own and, play around with it. There's a, oh yeah, that's Nancy's question. So yes, our next lesson, we're going to talk about milk. It's going to be our last in the Cooking 5-Way series. We're still trying to find a time for it because we were surprised that school opens earlier this year. We were hoping to do it before school opens, but if not, you'll get it sometime in August, and you can check the library's website for the timing of the class.
Yeah, we'll include that date in the follow-up email as well. And if anybody has any suggestions for future ingredients that they'd like to see, Razan teaches how to do and how to cook with, please let us know. You can unmute yourself or type that in the chat. We'd love to hear from you.
Absolutely.
And also, if you want to see the other videos of Razan teaching us how to cook, I have posted the YouTube link of Howard County Library. You can go to the Howard County Library YouTube site and just type in Razan Sahuri, and you will get all her videos all at the same place.
Well, thank you for having me. And now I have my late lunch ready. I didn't have lunch because I knew I'm going to have this food. So now I'm having salad, a wrap, and then a big dessert. So yeah.
That's excellent. Were there any other questions? Not, I'm going to stop recording and then we're going to hang out for another minute or so if people want to ask Razan any questions, and they can do that. I'm going to stop the recording now.
And we'll also include your email in the chat there too, Razan, because I know you like to see photos of what people have cooked or made with